Most people take a lot of years to be able to speak everyday conversation in English, not because they are not talented or smart or highly skilled. It's because they are doing the wrong thing. They spend even more than 10 years and tons of money and tons of energy and dedicated to something that never had a chance. So this video is the difference between wasting your time and being able to speak English faster. Most people won't do the work that I'm going to talk about from now, but you are not most people. And it's not just me saying this, the data backs it up.
What was really cool was that in 6 months I was fluent in Mandarin Chinese. And my conclusion, my observation from this is that any adult can learn a second language to fluency inside 6 months.
Actually, it's possible for people to be able to speak another language within 6 months. And when I realized the fact, my English skyrocketed. And I was able to speak everyday conversation in English within 6 months from nothing. I started studying English when I was 20 years old. It was second year of college. And before that, my life was all about baseball. I was playing baseball over 10 years and I got in high school and university on scholarship. So I've never taken an entrance exam in my life. I had never studied English seriously until then. But now I can speak English and I have a lot of friends all over the world. I'm really glad that I could expand my possibility into the world. But I'm going to show you how I came to be able to speak English like this within 6 months in this video. But at the same time, I made an English roadmap for beginners, which shows you how to get English skill from zero to be fluent. And more than 1,000 people got this. I got a lot of appreciation. If you want that roadmap, you can click in the description and you can get it for free. Okay, let's dive into it. So what I'm going to talk about from now is the mindset. This is not actual method or a skillful advice. And I'm going to tell you the truth. If your mind is not enough to be ready to be able to speak English, you will never be able to speak English. And now if you're thinking learning English is painful or tiring or annoying, you got to shift your mind. And the question is, why do we think that learning English is painful? I think one big reason is because of our educational system. So looking back when we were in elementary school, junior high school, what we mostly did was reading and vocabulary and grammar, which was super boring. I think you can understand this. Most Japanese people face the difficulties of studying English in school. And since then, we've been considering English a difficult language subconsciously. But here, I want you to shift your mind that English is just a language, not a subject. Or think about this. When you were born as a baby, how could you be able to speak Japanese? We listen to our parents speaking Japanese and we listen to TV. Your parents read a book for you before you go to bed? Yeah, something like that. So actually, we've never studied Japanese. Japanese just naturally came into my body and I could speak Japanese growing up. But when it comes to English, everyone started thinking about that English is a subject. And this might makes you want to be perfect. For example, I don't want to make any grammar mistake. So if I have something wrong with the grammar, I can't speak English, or like I'm really afraid of speaking English in front of people, something like that. So you consider English 0 or 100. It's like correct or incorrect, right? And stop doing that. You have to be more generous and more careless. You can make a ton of mistakes because I'm learning English. Everyone is not perfect. Even native English speakers make grammar mistakes. Allow yourself to be more free and don't be hard on yourself. Just take it easy. That's the most important thing that you have to work on first. After you shifted that mindset, the next most important thing is to bring English into your life as much as possible. And I know you might be thinking, come on, this is your advice. I already know this. But honestly, trust me, when I started at the bottom, this was the most important thing to improve my English. All right, think about it again. When you were born, you just naturally listen to your parents speaking Japanese. So you are surrounded by Japanese environment. Learning another language should be like this. Immerse yourself into the target language. I actually have an experience. So when I started studying English, first 2 months, I was really focusing on reading the vocabulary book. And I tried to memorize all the words in the vocabulary book. But after the 2 months, I tried to speak English, but just the words didn't come out of my mouth. So it means I wasted my time. It was not efficient way to study English. English is not a goal or subject. English is a tool. So don't study English. Just use English in your daily life. For example, me, when I was at home, I streamed YouTube video in English. So I could constantly listen to English when I was at home. Also, when I was taking a shower, I brought the speaker and I turned on the podcast in English. And then on my way to school, I was constantly listening to English podcasts. During the break of the class, I was watching my favorite American YouTubers. So I created the environment that surrounds me in English. And most importantly, I do this because I want to improve my English faster. I wanted to get more tolerance in English. Before that, I had a conscious that I hate English. I'm not good at it. As I said, that was subconscious that you got in school. But you got to break it first. You have to make yourself believe that you are good at English. But if I said this, some people might say that I can't understand English 100%. Some people want to be perfect at anything in English. What they think about this, when they listen to English contents, they don't understand. So they think that they are not at the level where I could try to listen to native speakers. Okay, that's wrong. Just don't be perfectionist. At the first stage, everyone can't understand English. That's normal. It's impossible for you to be able to listen to English 100% in 1 month or something. It takes time. Not seeing it as 0 or 100. Be consistent and moving forward every day. All right, so let's get into the actual methods. So the very first thing that you have to do is to learn most common phrases used in daily conversation. Most people start with the grammar or a vocabulary book like me. But of course, I don't recommend something like that. As I said before, in the first 2 months, I was really focusing on vocabulary. But in actual conversation, I couldn't even say one word. And when I faced the reality, I thought about why I couldn't speak English. Now it's clear that when you speak English, of course, you need to say something with sentences. So even if you remember single words, if you don't know how to create the sentence, it's over. And I thought, okay, I need to learn grammar. But this is also tricky because I think most people went through this like, okay, let's study grammar. And you go to a bookstore and get one grammar book. But as soon as you start doing it, you start being reluctant to do it. The reason why we gave up is because it's just long. It seems like endless. I don't know if it's just me, but when I read a textbook, I feel like I have to be perfect. I have to be 100% perfect. That mind prevents you from actually acquiring the language. So from my experience, I don't really recommend using textbook. Instead, you should learn common phrases. In every conversation, there are some types of phrases that people always use. So for example, when you meet somebody, you would say, hey, how are you? I'm fine. And you? Like this. Everyone says almost 100%. How are you? How's it going? How are you doing? So these phrases are necessary to remember first. And if you could master a few phrases, you can actually talk to people. And when you learn phrases, don't use textbook, just learn from a video content. So I'm going to show you some very useful YouTube channel that teach you common phrases. I recommend these YouTube channels because they speak English, so you can learn common phrases in English. And at the same time, they speak for beginners. They speak a little slower, so it's easy for you to understand them. The reason why you should learn common phrases first is because you can get motivation. The main goal of us to learn English is to be able to communicate with people, right? So in the very first step, so the most important thing is to have a successful experience at the very first stage. If you have a successful experience at the very first stage, you get motivation to study English. You're more likely to get momentum of studying English. The misconception that most people have is to build foundation of language. Of course, it's very important to have foundational skill, but building perfect foundation is very difficult and makes you reluctant to study English. That's why a lot of people gave up on studying English in the very first stage. So first, learn phrases and try to talk to people and get successful experience, and you get a motivation, and you keep going. So the next, to be able to speak everyday conversation in English, building the habits of turning your own thoughts into English, and then say it out loud. Okay, this might be something most people never say, but I believe that this learning tool is powerful. Okay, here's how you do. The reason why most people can't speak English even though they're spending hours and hours is because there's not enough output. So if you think you master 中学英語, you definitely have foundation and ready to go for speak. That's why a tons of output is needed. But a lot of people imagine that when it comes to speaking English, they have to go to English class or get into the community. Of course, that's okay, but it costs money. So there's other beneficial tool. But on the other hand, talking to yourself is free and you can do it anytime, anywhere. So I strongly recommend talking to yourself in English. Okay, here is how you do. Everything in your head, you're thinking about the things in Japanese right now. So just turn it into English. How do I say this thing in English? And you're gonna have that time that you think about it in English as much as possible. So for example, after work, maybe you are thinking about お腹空いたな、今日晩ご飯何にしようかな、でも晩ご飯作るのめんどくさいからラーメン屋に寄ろうかな、でも太っちゃうの嫌だし、like this. So everything is in your head. Just turn into English and say it out loud. So in this situation, after work, I'm really tired. I'm so hungry. I'm super hungry. So what am I going to cook for dinner today? But I'm so tired of work, so I don't want to cook. Maybe I should go to ramen shop. Yeah, but I don't want to gain weight, like this. Of course, for beginners, what I did was really high level. But if you feel that's difficult, you can say in English what you see around you. So for example, what's around you right now? I have a plastic bottle, I have a cup, I have a phone. So everything you see, you just say it in English. This is a plastic bottle. This is my phone. This is a speaker, like this. And then once you get it, you just gradually change the verbs. You just create your own sentence little by little. So for example, these are cups. This is my cup. This is your cup. This is a cup that I bought yesterday. I got this cup yesterday. Like this. You create your own sentence little by little with the grammar that you learned. And so in the beginning, of course, nobody can do that, but this is a training. And the reason why I like this method is because I can practice output, but at the same time, I can make really effective learning cycle. If you want to say something, but you don't know it, you don't know how to say it, so you look it up on website, right? Or ChatGPT or AI. And then once you get the meaning, you just say it out loud. So this circle makes your English improve so fast. A lot of people take more than 10 years to be able to speak general conversation. This is because there's not enough output, which is not most effective and efficient way to study English. As soon as you input, you just output. Do it again and again. And once you get the habit, I promise you, your English will skyrocket. That will make a huge difference. All right, finally, this is going to be the last step. Watch tons of English content. This might be something that people usually avoid or people don't recommend doing this, but I strongly think that consuming as much English content as possible makes your English improve faster. I started learning English when I was 20 years old, and now I'm 28 years old. So over the 8 years, nothing has helped me more than videos. YouTube, Instagram Reels, TikTok, movies, TV dramas, any kinds of English contents, especially from native speakers. But here's why. In English contents, there are tons of phrases and grammars and vocabularies that native English people use in actually real conversation. That's so much valuable than reading textbook. And straight to the point, reading textbook is boring. But if you enjoy consuming the English contents, it is actually fun, and at the same time you are mastering your English. So here's what I do. I pick one video and I find one phrase that I'm interested in. I try to say that over and over again in a day. My goal is to get 3 new phrases or vocabulary in a day. And if you could acquire 3 phrases in a day, in a month, it's going to be 100 phrases. That makes a huge difference. And plus, these are phrases that native English speakers often use in daily conversation. You can confidently memorize these words. Have you ever thought this? When you try to learn new phrases or vocabulary, you kind of doubt that, okay, is this used in real conversation? Do people actually say this in real conversation? I was not 100% sure that I can use this phrase in real conversation. Maybe people say it in a different way, right? I was always doubting my learning process. I couldn't make really progress. But if you get some words from the English contents that native English speaker put out, that's 100% sure they're using it in a daily conversation, right? Okay, you can confidently use them. That's a huge difference. So the key element is watch, learn, use. Watch, learn, use. This circle, you're going to build this habit. The things that I talked about in this video today is not something that traditional teachers tells you to do it. This was the best method that it worked for me. That's why I could be able to speak English within 6 months, even though I had no English skill, no basic skill, no vocabulary. If I could do it, you can do it too. So in the last, let me tell you one thing. Maybe you've been spending so much time on studying English, but you're not getting the result that you want, or you've been going to English conversation class for 2 or 3 years, but your English hasn't improved. The reason why you're stuck is not because you're not smart or talented. It's because you're doing the wrong thing. So I made an English roadmap so you can know exact step from zero to be fluent. And over 1,000 people got this. I got so much appreciation. So if you want that video, you can get it for free. Click the link in the description. All right, that's it for today. If you found this video interested or motivated, please give me a like and please subscribe and give me a comment. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.